There are a few factors why I believe Kamala Harris isn't going to win the 2024 election, and it has nothing to do with Trump being a better candidate, which he is, or presenting policy, which he's done, and she is not. The factors that I'm looking at are Kamala Harris, number one, killing off her base. So you take a look at the Democratic Party. You have the people who pay attention to politics, the people who still watch The View, the people who still see The View as some sort of factual, actually based in reality thing, as opposed to Whoopi Goldberg saying that Donald Trump is going to split up interracial marriage and deport the wife and let the white man get reassigned to a white woman. She actually said that the other day.
What we heard at that rally should be enough to shake folks awake, because he's talking about you.
All of you.
Yeah, all of you. He's talking about you. It's us. He's not going to say, oh, you're with a white guy, I'm going to keep you from being deported. No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there.
Who would pay attention to that? Who would think that that's a real thing? Those are the few people who are still buying everything that Kamala Harris is saying and this entire election process. You see, a normal Democrat, one of those normies out there that's not really paying attention, but has heard the propaganda for years, has to be questioning things by now. How do you try to save democracy when you ignore 14 million votes for Joe Biden? And we blow that off. We blow off lots of things that have happened in this election cycle, including Donald Trump's assassination attempts, because everything feels like it's years away because there's so much garbage being thrown at us constantly. But if you're a normie, if you're somebody who's out there who's not paying attention to politics every day, and you're like, wait a second, I voted in this primary and now my vote doesn't count. That's the beginning of what I call death by a thousand cuts of the Democratic base. You start there. Then you go to endorsements like Dick and Liz Cheney. Remember, Dick Cheney has been branded by the Democrats as Darth Vader, the guy who literally tried to start wars, no blood for oil. Remember that? Remember WMDs? Remember Halliburton? This guy was branded as the worst of the worst, the most evil Republican of all time. And now suddenly she gets his endorsement and they're celebrating. They're celebrating. So if you're a normie and you're watching that, you go, what? So you have those two factors. You have people taking a look at what's happening in schools here in America, where they're trying to put pornography and argue for pornography in school libraries. See, Republicans have actually won this in the semantics. They won the terminology when it comes to drag shows for kids or pornography in children's school libraries, because the left says they're trying to have book bans. Republicans want book bans, but when you scratch just past the surface, you start messing with people's kids. People take a look at these books that Republicans want to ban from school libraries. It's pornography. It's over-sexualized things that children should not have any exposure to. So as Democrats argue for that, as they take away the vote, as they start celebrating people like Dick Cheney, your normies who pay attention to the Democratic Party take a look at this and they go, this ain't for me anymore. Another factor we're looking at is the Chicken Little effect. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Trump is a Nazi. Trump's supporters are Nazis. They're all the worst. They're going to lock you up. This is going to be the worst time ever. Democracy's over. It's the end of America. It's the end of the world. We're going to be in world wars, blah, blah, blah. All these things. They never happened under Trump in 4 years. In fact, people had more money under Trump in the 4 years that he was in office. So again, if you're a normie and you're paying attention to this, why would you continue to trust this party? The sky is falling. The sky is falling. They're screaming. They're running around and ain't nothing happening. It didn't happen when Trump was in office the first 4 years. It's not going to happen now. People want their money. People want to make more money. People want to be able to afford housing. And that is another factor that's going to stop Kamala from winning. There's no doubt that internal polling has been bad for Kamala from the very, very beginning. When she started running for office, I know that the media tried to say that everyone was excited and there was a push for her and there was a bump and the polls said that, things were going well for her. If that was true, you wouldn't flip-flop on almost every major policy that you've had, including showing up to the border finally and having a commercial while you're walking next to Trump's border wall that you once labeled racist and bigotry and everything else you could throw at it, every phobia. You wouldn't flip policies to have that suddenly. You would stick around with what you had. You'd stick with what you and Joe Biden were doing. You'd continue to push your sex changes for illegal immigrants. And it's the actual thing that she's pushing. But instead, she's run away from all of her policies. Suddenly, she's pro-fracking when she said she'd end fracking. Everything that she said. Suddenly, she owns a Glock when she wanted to check people's guns. What kind of gun do you have? A Glock. Okay, what kind of Glock? Never answered that. Even Tim Walz said that she was an avid hunter at one point. This is ridiculous. If her policies were working, if she was an electable candidate, you wouldn't run away from all of her policies. You wouldn't flip-flop consistently. Literally, she's flipped in the past few months. At least Mitt Romney, when he ran for office in 2012, he had flip-flopped his policies a few years before. So at least, he had some time on it. But she's just recently flip-flopped on all of her policies because when they started running her for office by herself without Joe Biden around, they realized that she wasn't winning internally and they needed to do something drastic, which was literally flip almost every one of her policies and things that she said publicly. Another factor we're looking at is no one likes Kamala. And I'm not just saying that from Republicans. I'm saying that from Democrats. And I'm saying that specifically to her staff. She had a 92% turnover in her office. That means no one can tolerate her. Even Donald Trump didn't have that high of a turnover rate. In fact, he had a lot of people who stuck around for a very, very long time. But her office had a 92% turnover rate. And if the stories are true, when she was attorney general, when she made junior staff not look at her in the eyes, made everyone refer to her as general, and apparently was a just rotten human being to work for, Democrats can't stand her. There are apparently internal fights in the White House right now between Joe Biden's staff, Jill Biden's staff, and her staff over what's going on and how they kind of got rid of Joe Biden. You take a look at if Joe Biden liked her, if Joe Biden supported her, if Jill Biden supported her final speech on the ellipse, why weren't they there? Were they locked in the White House? Were they not invited? Did they give him some sleepy time tea and put him to sleep early? Why wasn't the president of the United States a few hundred yards away from where he sleeps to go see her? That doesn't make any sense, does it? Unless nobody likes her. Nobody likes Kamala Harris. Not even the Democrats like Kamala Harris. And my final point, and oh boy, is this a good one. Hillary Clinton would not allow another woman to become the first president of the United States in a universe where Hillary Clinton exists. Hillary Clinton has worked too hard. She's come too far. What's that when she did that accent? I've come too far.
I've come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
She's come too far. She's eliminated too many political opponents, both literally and figuratively. She's gotten rid of everything in her way, every obstacle in her way, and there was only one thing that stopped her, and it was Donald Trump and his voters in 2016, and she's still not over it. She would not, in any universe, allow another woman to take her throne, what she believes her rightful throne. Remember, she tweeted that picture of herself. Happy birthday to this future president of the United States. She would not allow another woman, let alone one like Kamala, and I'm not talking about by demographics, but by stupidity, become president of the United States while Hillary Clinton continues to exist in this universe. It is in Hillary Clinton's mind that is rightfully her position. And it just would not happen to anyone else. That's why I think Kamala's going to lose. It has nothing to do with Trump, who I think is a great candidate. I think he's the best version of Trump that we've ever seen in America. I think he's got his politics down. I think his campaign has been perfect to this point. I think every one of his campaign stops from McDonald's to Madison Square Garden has been spot on. He is on fire. He's got a vice president. I can't remember a better vice presidential pick in the history of America. But all that aside, Kamala Harris has alienated her voters, obviously has been down in the polls to the point that she'd flip-flopped to Donald Trump's policies. No tax on tips. Don't forget that one too. Forgot that one earlier. Nobody likes her in the Democratic Party. She suddenly is alienating the base by celebrating people like Dick Cheney. And of all things, folks, Hillary Clinton, if she had the opportunity, would be the first female president. No one else. She would not allow anyone else to be the first female president of the United States. Trust me on that one. We'll see what happens. I hope I'm not wrong, but I really think I'm right.